Good morning, Dan and Amy. Now, Amy, I know you're scrambling an extraction team to go down and get those remaining U.S. Olympic swimmers in Rio.
Yeah, I'm working on a banner right now and a hashtag.
Yeah,
Free the Olympic swimmers.
There's a lot of fun memes going around, as you would expect. One with Michelle Obama holding up her infamous placard for the
Boko Haram.
Yeah, the girls that were abducted by Boko Haram. And this one, hashtag bring back our swimmers, with her sad face.
Oh.
Well.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, this is going to be big. We may go to war with Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fire up the F-16s.
Okay.
We're going to do a mission here.
All right. From the ridiculous to the sublime, we have to talk about the presidential campaign and staff shakeup this week. Kellyanne Conway, the new campaign manager, is really a pollster, but I guess she's the designated campaign manager now, saying some interesting things in addition to there's going to be more policy speeches forthcoming from Trump in the coming weeks. So we've had last week we had the economic speech in Detroit. This week we have the ISIS speech coming up, immigration, education, other policy choices. And I like that.
She also said she'd be more accessible to the media than the Clinton campaign.
Well, that's a low bar.
Yeah.
But I like that framework. I like the idea of leading each week, framing the debate, and Trump on script offering a policy distillation in a particular policy area. I think that's smart. I think that will help kind of keep this funnel going in terms of message focus. But for more on that and other campaign-related matters, including Hillary's dismal speech in Cleveland yesterday, we're now happy to be joined by Katrina Pierson. She's the national spokesperson for the Donald Trump for President campaign. Katrina, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. So, you know how kind of the Beltway works and how the punditocracy works, and they get obsessed with the kind of soap opera of politics and the personality clashes, even at the operative or staff level. And so there's a lot of that been going on since the announcement of the elevation of Conway to campaign manager and the addition of Steve Bannon from Breitbart. How should people understand this staff shakeup and the two individuals that are the focus of that shakeup?
Well, they have to have something to talk about. As you said, we definitely understand how the Beltway works in the pundit class. And the best part about this is we've had a vacancy since the exit of Corey Lewandowski, and this was simply filled by Kellyanne Conway, someone to be with Mr. Trump at all times, even on the plane, talking about the messaging and keeping him on message for that matter. And with the addition of Steve Bannon, Steve Bannon, yes, he did run Breitbart, but he's also run other companies and has been a very successful businessman despite his politics.
Katrina, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're having a difficult time hearing you. I don't know if you're in a bad cell spot or whatever.
Or if you're next to a helicopter.
There's a lot of interference.
Am I cutting out?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, that's much better. Okay, I'm sorry. If you could just restate a little bit about what you said about Conway and Bannon.
Sure, absolutely. Again, this was a vacancy that was filled after the exit of Corey Lewandowski, and Kellyanne Conway is going to be perfect to be on the plane with Mr. Trump. He's going to be giving a lot of policy speeches moving forward, and keeping him on message is very important. So she's going to be perfect for that. With the addition of Steve Bannon, despite his politics, whether you agree or not, he has been a very successful businessman for quite some time. And so he's been employed to help run some of the operations and logistics side of the campaign, not messaging as so much as what's being reported out there. I think it's been two great additions, mainly because Steve Bannon is a fighter. He's been in the grassroots. He's helped the grassroots. And really it's about talking to the American public, going past those pundits in the media.
So is Bannon's entrance into this campaign a way, because he's no friend of the RNC or the Republican establishment, is this a way for Trump to keep his outsider image?
Well, I think a lot of people are reading into this way too much. I mean, this was someone who had a relationship with the Trump campaign, like I said, who's very staunch in business, and who is very much in touch with the people on the ground. So this was more of an operational logistics decision, not so much as to be in people's faces as this is being reported. Steve Bannon is very much a powerhouse in the political realm as well, which is pretty much a mirror of what a lot of the Trump campaign has been about. It's not to get in anyone's face. This was really just to shore up the operations and logistics going into November.
Now, one of the other bits of news this week from the Trump campaign is rolling out television spots in some of the battleground states. Give us a little bit of a peek in terms of what we can expect the television messaging to be consistent with, I guess, the Trump messaging on the stump in those battleground states and the messaging strategy in the last 85 days.
Well, the ads are going to be important mainly for two reasons. Number one, they are going to define who Mr. Trump is. The media and the left has had their way for a very long time, and you've had organizations like CNN who've gone out of their way to prevent that positive message from getting out. And so you're going to see a lot of that, who Mr. Trump is, what he thinks, what he believes, and not through that media filter. And you're going to see some contrast between what Mr. Trump sees for the vision of the United States, compared that to a third term of failing Obamonomics and failed foreign policy with Hillary Clinton. I think that's going to be very important going into that first debate and moving into early voting.
Now, today, Donald Trump campaigns in Charlotte, North Carolina. Is he going to be using a teleprompter? Do you know what the focus is of today's speech?
This will likely be similar to what you've been seeing the last two speeches, the last two events, rather. There will be definitely prepared remarks to be given. Again, this is going to be substantive. It's going to be very on point, and it's going to be very consistent with what Mr. Trump has been saying since the primaries with regards to his specific policies. Those have gone over very well, and for Mr. Trump's very first political run, I think you've handled it like a champ.
Well, I'll tell you what, even Trump detractors gave him high marks for his remarks in West End, Wisconsin the other day, Charles Krauthammer among them. And I think he, some of the turns of a phrase, peaceful regime change, and talking about the media donor complex, as well as the substance of it with respect to an explicit ask of black voters to consider Trump for president, the bigotry that underlies the policies of the left. I mean, I think that line of argumentation and the fact he's making kind of substantive, logical arguments, I think ends up serving him well. So I'm encouraged to hear that he's going to be kind of following the course that he's set this week.
That's exactly what you're going to see. And as a black American and a black voter, I have never been so proud to see someone give such an honest speak about the problems we face today, particularly in the black community. And, he received a lot of pushback because of where he gave that speech. But again, the media never pointed out that this was a campaign event already on the books, and he decided to give this speech early based upon the circumstances that were surrounding Milwaukee at the time, which I feel like was extremely presidential to make that decision. But more importantly, those issues are extremely important because we do have an entire population out there that has been completely underserved by their elected officials for decades. If we're talking about Milwaukee and Baltimore and Chicago, Mr. Trump simply just says, look, I have a very different vision, and give me the opportunity to show you how life can be better. And I think that was just an absolutely amazing job that he did.
And the part of the speech that resuscitated kind of his law and order line of argumentation. I wonder if that is something that can be further exploited with Hillary Clinton declining to seek the endorsement of the Fraternal Order of Police. Has there been conversations between Trump and FOP? Because it seems like that would be an important endorsement for him to obtain.
Yes, that is being discussed. Mr. Trump has a lot of support out there from law enforcement all around. And the law and order discussion is definitely going to be propelled in the future because, as we see, police shootings have been on the rise. And it's unimaginable that here in the United States we're actually seeing the execution of police officers and an entire Democrat Party that's embracing organizations that incite those types of events. And it's really disturbing on a whole nother level in politics. And Mr. Trump just says we cannot have that. Enough is enough. We have to change fundamental policies at the federal level to help communities with education, immigration, and jobs. And then we have to get back to the basics in the United States, or we're going to lose our country.
I want to ask you a follow-up question to the Fraternal Order of Police. Has he been actively seeking their endorsement?
The campaign has talked to several organizations. He's always said he welcomes the endorsements of any of these groups. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you whether or not he's been out there specifically and asked. I know he has met with several individuals from many organizations.
One last question about another addition to the campaign reported this week, and that's Roger Ailes as someone to essentially help Donald Trump with debate prep. At least that's how it's been reported. Trump saying yesterday, he likes off the cuff, and that's how he'll be in the debate. And, of course, that's largely how you have to be in a debate. You have to be quick on your feet. But I wonder if Ailes is recommending that some of what we're seeing from Trump this week in particular on the campaign trail is incorporated into the debate, even though it's going to be a freewheeling exercise.
Well, let me just start by saying the reporting on Roger Ailes' involvement is false. Roger Ailes is not a part of the campaign or an official or unofficial advisor. He has been a friend to Donald Trump for a very long time, so they obviously do talk, but he's not considered an advisor.
So the media was wrong.
Well, so he's not helping. They're not talking about the debates. He's not helping in any even informal way with preparation for the debates?
No, he's not formally or informally involved in that. The campaign is taking care of that. I'm sure as a friend he's offered up some advice.
Well, sure.
Mm-hmm. It's not something that they're talking with the campaign about.
So he's not in a paid position or doing anything.
Exactly.
Oh,
good. Okay.
So the mainstream media was wrong, and even some conservative publications.
Yeah, I mean, that is odd that the New York Times would get something wrong. So that's newsworthy. Katrina Pierson, national spokesperson for the Donald Trump for President campaign. Katrina, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is